We'll start with preparing the mesh for our waffle structure. The first thing that I'll be doing, I'll be adding my mesh to Grasshopper by grabbing a mesh component, right click to it, set one mesh, and then now I have my mesh to reference. And when I have this mesh, now it's imported into Grasshopper. The first thing that I'll be doing, I'll be adding a thickness to this mesh thicken from Weaverbird. This is a plugin which I already covered, so you may find the resources to this plugin. And as you see, it started to add some thickness to it, right? And what I would be doing as a distance, let's say 5 centimeters. But you see, it's relatively small, so let's put it 10 centimeters. 100 millimeters, 10 centimeters. It's completely up to you. The other thing now we can select here is the different types of offsets. And let's create a slider ranging between 0 and 2. And we have 0, 2, 1, and 2. So 0 is fine, so we can delete this. And what this does, the 1 is hypotenuse average trigonometrical. It's an experimental setting, it says. And the third one, or the second one, is plane intersections. Again, it's an experimental, so let's go with the 0. And one thing here to pay attention, if you see this, your mesh edges, or if you don't see them, you can just come over the display and change it, or you can press Ctrl and M to view it, or preview it, or close the preview of it. So let's see it this way. And the next thing that I'll be doing in the Weaverbird, again, I'll be smoothing this structure. So I can go with Clark Subdivision, or I can go with Loop Subdivision. So let's preview this all off, and you started to see we started to get this or this one. So again, like which one you like, you can go with that. I'll go with the Clark Subdivision, and when we increase the level, we'll see smoother kind of results. And the level is ranging between 0 and 3. And 3 is the smoothest one, and 0 is the exact same one. So we can leave it as 3. Smooth naked edges, if you like, you can say smooth it, or fixed it, or corners fixed. So I'll just leave it as smooth naked edges. But the problem now is it's kind of elevated from the ground. So what I need to do is I need to pull this to the ground, let's say like minus 150. That's too much actually. Let's put it like 50 up. We want to cut it from this line so that we will have some sort of a thickness, right? And how would we do that? I'll be just creating a circle, and that circle is going to be having 5,000 as its radius. The aim here is to create an intersection between these two. So if I create a mesh out of this surface circle, you see that I create this intersection. But what I'm seeing here is my thickness kind of a bit small, or what I can do, either make thickness more, or make the structure going down a bit further so that it touches ground more. Or you can just play around with to increase the area that is hitting the ground as well. Or again, you can increase the thickness of the plates. So there are many things that you can play around with, okay, in this relatively simple form finding spot. And what I can do is I can group this as my scribble, because I'll be using this as my cutter mesh. So I can have it here as my cutter, and then I can grab a mesh split component. This is the split that I want to mesh. This is the splitter, right? And what I'm seeing now here is the 4 different meshes. If I grab a list item, you can go with like this, and this is the mesh that I want to use. However, what we want to have is kind of like sorting these meshes based on their areas, so that I can always select the largest mesh, right? And this is my value, but this is going to be selecting, if I preview everything off, it's going to be selecting this small piece here, because 1, 2, 3, and the 4 is the top largest one. For the index, if I put -1, which will give me a result of the largest one, okay? And this is the mesh I wanted to work with. But this mesh is an open mesh. So what I will be doing is I'll be closing this mesh by using this component from Pufferfish, and I connect it here, and then I just have this closed mesh. Now maybe I can preview everything off. Okay, you see now it touches the ground in a smoother way, and like we are having our structure here, which is ready to work. The next thing that I wanted to do is I'll be using the Waffle from Weaverbird. And this is the mesh that I wanted to do, connect here. And it's asking for the number in X, Y, and the thickness, so and so forth. But maybe one thing I can mention here is, onto the onto the plane. So let's start with a value here, like a count value here. We can count this, right? We can say 20 by 20, okay? And we can put a thickness of 10. This is the material thickness, so 1 centimeter of the material thickness. And you see, now we grab these pieces here. And if you look at it from top view, what we are seeing, the plane is XY plane, right? And which is something is as a default value here. So there are a couple of things we'll be doing. The first thing that I wanted to do, instead of giving a count, what if we want to have the distances in between each, like let's say slice or piece. So what I would be doing, I'll be creating a bounding box, grabbing the bounding box, and then based on this bounding box, I'll be deconstructing this, because I want to see on the X, on the X and Y, maybe I can go to the top view again, on the X and the Y. So I'll be deconstructing this box, deconstruct the box, and it's giving me some numeric values, like the X and Y. If I connect a number value here, it's going to be giving me the exact X depth of this box, and in our case, our pavilion or structure. And we can do the same thing for the Y value as well. Okay. And now what we can do is we can say, okay, I don't want to divide this with the number of the counts. What this does, this basically gives a count. So we will have like 20 on X, 20 on Y, right? But what if we want to have kind of a distances in between each kind of a slice? So how I can do that? It's kind of a basic math. So if this is like 4 meters is my thing. So if I divide, and if I wanted to have my own distance, like let's say I want to have on each 50 centimeters, or sorry, like 20 centimeters, I'll be dividing this into 20, and this is going to be my number of divisions here. So if I put it, so this is now 2 centimeters, I'm sorry, I'm working with millimeters, I have to put this guy here, and then now it's kind of 20, right, 20-ish, and then I connect this over here. But when I make this, let's say 400, you see now each value is divided into there will be 10 of these because of this, but this will work with maybe 150, and 150, I'll be dividing this into 27. And the same goes for this guy over here, and let's say 175 or 125 on y-axis, and I can connect this to my y-axis. So what I did is basically take the dimension on Y and take the dimension on the X, and I just use the desired value. So this is my desired value for X, this is my desired value for Y, and then put the numeric values of the counts by dividing them. Or we can just go with the initial count values. And what we can do is we can actually go along with the go along and automate this. If you want to, we can just grab a list here, or we can grab a number here, and then we can put this number here, and then this number here can have it. Or, oh, are these 27 and 27 by luck? Okay, these are all 27. So if I wanted to say, let's say 150 for you as well, okay? Now what I have is 27 and 22. And what I can do here is I can say, okay, this is going to be I'll be grouping this, and I'll be saying it is scribble desired values, desired distances between slices. And I can add this to here, okay? And if I want to have like other numbers like, I don't know, 20 on X and 20 on Y, or 20 or 15 on Y, I can pull out a number and put this here as well. And I can say this to group this, and maybe copy this and paste desired number of slices, I would say. And maybe I can take this guy and make it white. All right, then how I am going to be kind of automating this. There is an easy way to do this. What we are going to do first, though, I'll be using a mesh because I just don't like the way that we are having things on like a bit complicated here. So what I'll be doing, I'll be connecting the same mesh, my mesh output here, and then it's going to be here, right? This is the same mesh. So I just create kind of a data highway here, right? And I can preview this off. The second thing that I wanted to do now is to give this count as an automated version, right? So if I grab a stream filter, I can use this value and use this value. And if you remember from my previous videos, we can grab a value list here, and that value list, it can be edited by right-clicking to it, and then I can delete these. I can have this as 0, I can have this as 1, and then I can say desired distance, and I can say desired number, and I can connect this to here. But is that it? Not really, because it's going to be giving me two values all the time. Therefore, I'll be creating a list item here so that I always connect the first one to my X value and to my Y value. So in order to show you the difference, why don't we have this 50 and why don't we have this as 50? You see, now if I have this and group this, and maybe I can color this with greener and then say division type, distance, or number. I can preview this, connect this here. And like if I come over here, desired distance, desired number, you'll see that we will have 50. So it's completely now up to us. And the second thing that I wanted to mention is, since we are having this as here, the second thing that I wanted to mention is actually the plane. The plane now is the XY plane, as I showed you on the top view. But one thing that I wanted to visualize here as the plane with kind of a visualization here. So if I draw up, for instance, or what I can do instead of drawing it here, if I draw a rectangle here, and if I draw a point on it's here, so if I put 500, maybe I can visualize it a bit further. And if we put an XY plane to here, then put this guy here, and maybe we can just put 200 and 200. So you see, it's on the XY plane, right? But if I rotate this plane, if I rotate this plane, XY plane, or like, yeah, we can do this, I guess, now with the radians, pulling this here and like let's say 45 degrees, and we are rotating it on XY plane obviously. And if I connect this guy here, now it's created this onto this point, but the plane is still here. However, the rectangle is here. Okay, why don't we do something as follows? So construct domain, and what we can do here with a negative value, so that we can always put our rectangle onto our centers. Okay, it will make things a bit easier for us, and divide it by 2. Okay, this is kind of a bit like a long way of doing it, but the good way of doing it. Okay, so connect this, and this is my start, this is my end, and I can connect this to here, connect this to here. Okay, and obviously the plane that we are going to rotate this is this XY plane. So you see, with this angle I am having this. So if I connect this plane here, let's go to top view again. So if I connect this plane here, you'll see that my waffle slices are going to be created with these angles here. Okay, XY plane, which is rotated. So now you see that. So this is one aspect of it. The other aspect that we can do here is now we can rotate this plane. Okay, this is just a pure visualization. We can rotate this plane now with kind of a similar angle, but this time we can rotate it on YZ plane. And if I create this, now you see it's kind of three-dimensional. And what I would be doing now is I'll be doing grouping here. Okay, and I can pull these guys out, and then I can pull these guys here as another group. And if I connect this to my plane, now we are going to have three-dimensional kind of panels that are being created on here with these angles. You see, and if I change the angle, you see it's going to be changed as well. And last but not least, we can do the same thing on XZ plane too. If I rotate this and copy this and paste this, rotate the plane with this angle, but this time what we can do here is we can rotate it XZ plane. And when I connect this now, you see, okay, so what is there a problem? If I connect this here, it's going to be the same. So if I just rotate this plane on the XZ plane, or what I can do here is connect this guy here and connect this guy here. Therefore, whenever I connect them, it's going to be rotated. And you see now it's rotating on this direction. And what I can do, I can connect this one and it'll be my plane. So it's changed again. So what this gives you as kind of a three-dimensionality on the panels that you are, or on the slices that you're going to create. So what I can type here, I can create a group here, add to the group XY plane division type, by the way, XY plane. I can add this to YZ plane and copy this and paste it to while adding to this group XZ plane and click OK. And this is how we do it. So we can just leave it as it on the XY plane, and this is basically what we do here. So you can check this as well with the planar element that we are creating. However, there are some if you want to have deeper slits or connections in between, you can proceed with that. You can project everything on the XY plane. You can have the distances, etc., etc. And the output of this basically is, maybe I can preview this off, are the curves, right? Slices. And what I can do with these slices is basically, if I go to boundary surfaces, you see I can convert this into the surfaces, and these are my surfaces. And based on the thickness that I'm using, what I can do here is to visualize these surfaces. And if I grab an offset surface from offset surface again from the pufferfish, connect this guy here, and I'll be using the same thing, but grab the number here and we'll just connect this, but right click to it, wire display hidden, because I'll be using this value and divide this value. Maybe I can delete this for now. Divide it into 2, put this as my one distance. You see it's now going to be thickened on this direction, and I'll be using the negative version of it to the other side. Therefore you'll be connecting both ends, and I can now copy this and paste and put it here. And just to visualize this a bit better, what I can do is I can grab a preview, custom preview, and I can do this with a swatch. This could be white, this could be black. Okay, now we have our waffle structure in a way that we have. So what I can do here is to maybe go into architecture outlines. Yeah, it's not looking very well here. Maybe I can preview this off, and okay, just maybe Arctic. Okay, so now this is how we create them. But the other thing that I wanted to do is actually take all these pieces. This is 3D visualization, so I can maybe group this and then put it upwards, and I can just maybe wire display hidden, wire display hidden. Because like this is good, but this is mostly for 3D visualizations, and I can maybe just bake this into layer 1 and bake these into layer 3. And if I turn everything off, we do have this. That's fine. And now we only have the visualization, but the important part of this is how we are going to put them onto ground, right? So you see this. So if I preview this, or if I grab curves here, I can grab the curve here as well. So if I pull out a toggle here, now if I connect these project toggle, it's actually off now. And please make sure that this takes time. So this takes time, okay? Default was false, and when I make this true, it probably, you see, they all put down onto the ground. All right, and with the colors, or like if we go back to the shaded, as they are being created. Okay, so both X and Y, they are divided and put onto the ground, and the colors actually happening on their own. I didn't do anything with the colors. Maybe if I preview this off, so yes, so now I can see them. Well, we can preview this on. I don't know how did we do this, but this is something we want to have. The next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to tag these, right? I wanted to tag these so that I can start, or I can put the information on top of. And what I can do here is to trim 3, because what I wanted to do, I wanted to have all these 27 curves, or you can just grab flatten as well. You can flatten these 2 and then have them here. But before we proceed further, what I want you to think is I just want to put all the text on top of the 3D pieces first, because I just wanted to know once we have, okay, maybe I can preview this on, turn this off, and what's happening? Why don't we see these? Somehow they are also on the ground. I don't know. Okay, because why? When we do that, it's basically taking everything and then putting down onto the ground instead of keeping it as 3D. So what I can do here is I can do 2 things, maybe, or do I need to do that? Yeah, let's do it that way. I can copy this and paste it here, and the one that I'm going to connect here is going to be actually false, meaning you'll be seeing them as 3D here. Okay, now this is good, and then we are going to see them as 2D here. Okay, this is good. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to tag some tags on this, and to do so I can really like just flatten this and flatten this too. Let me put the first one first, and then we'll be just basically doing the same thing for the other. What I'll be doing, I'll be creating a tree statistics, which will give me the number of, if we count the number of the pieces that I have, it's 27. I can create a series, and it's going to be my count. It starts from 0 to 26. And the tag is going to be, I'll be using a concatenate and putting this value, onto B, and then I'll be typing A and slash and put this here. And I can do it onto the volumes or the centroids of each piece that we have. Oops, sorry. These are the text locations, not you, and this is the text. I'm doing the same mistake again and again. So now what we are seeing is we started to see A0 starts with this. A0 is the ones that are these. So A0 starts and then goes to A26, which is somewhere here. So we know where they are. Okay, and if you want to, you can just increase the size of this to medium so that you see them larger. For the color, we can just put some, maybe not white, but blue colors on top of them. Okay, and I'll be doing the same thing. I can group this as well, copy them and paste them, and I can do the same thing for these guys here. What I'll be changing is, I'll be changing this into B, and maybe the color of this can be orangish. I don't know, maybe oranges, further in the orange. Okay, so we know where they are right now. All right, and now what we'll be doing is we'll be taking the same things and putting into onto these. But while we're putting them onto these, we are not going to use the tag. We'll be using something else to make things carvable on the text, on the pieces. And how we're going to do that is, like, maybe I can pull you guys a bit upwards here, and I can go along with these ones. So these are the pieces of A's. What I'll be doing is I'll be putting a tag, but then, or maybe we can go to the open nest and then we can just find the text here. The text tag is going to be the area of these pieces. The location is the area. The text is going to be the same text that I'll be using. Copy this and paste it here. So I can connect this here. And this is going to be my text. And the size now is a bit tiny. So I can put 15 to the size. And I do have it. But it's still, I mean, it depends on you, by the way. You can make it larger or smaller. But just make sure that they don't overlap or hit to these pieces. So I can have these as my, or by the way, we don't need to do this when we connect this. Probably it's going to work, right? No. Okay, let's do it the other way around. Let's do it this way. I just wanted to think something, but it seems it's not going to work now. Copy this and paste, and then do the same thing for the B pieces. Okay, and I can now group this. What is this? Oh, this is the plane visualization, so I can also group this, and then maybe I can type plane visualization and add this to the group. The next thing, yeah, the U pieces or X pieces, Y pieces, A pieces, B pieces, B sections, I would say, and add this to the group, A sections, and then adding this to this group. The last but not least, I'll be using the open nest. So open nest is basically, it's going to take my nest geometries with the files or options, or nest geometries with the attributes. So the geometry is this. So what are my geometries? My geometries are the polylines, right? So what are those polylines? I can just graph this, okay? Because I want to match my trees, so curves, with my text. And I'll be I'll be using this as my text here, as my attributes. Okay, so these are pieces of A, and these are the geometries. And for these simplifications, etc., we can talk more about it. The next thing that I'll be doing, I'll be using sheets, and the sheets are coming as default. Okay, like this here. You can change them, you can keep them as they are, but like if I connect this here, and if I connect the geometry here, now what I want you to do is, I mean, if there are some options that you may want to, okay, this is, maybe I don't want to put it, yeah, it's just, when we grab the options, it's just put it somewhere, it's weird in this sense. So if I grab the options, pull it there, I can put my options. These are my geometries. These are sheets that I'll be working, and the options that I'm having. The spacing is a bit important here. I can put 5 maybe here. Okay. And if we pull out the toggle, let's see what we have. And it's running the algorithm now. You see, since some of these are extremely large, it's not able to, okay, it's not able to, well, maybe just call out a curve here, like all geometries here, the curves that are put here, we can just preview this off, and we can just preview this off. And you see, it started to put everything here, but unfortunately, they are not getting along with one another. Therefore, like 27 lists here, 27 lists here. What we can do here is basically to change some things. First things that we wanted to change, the size of the size of the rectangles. So one thing I can do here is I can pull out the rectangles here as my sheets, set one curve, and let's see if they are going to be put over there. Now when we put something large, you see we have them here, and the spacing is too actually close to one another. So one thing that we want to do is maybe, and you see we do have some overlaps, and simplify, just put this into 0. We don't need to simplify anything. Okay, and when we do that, they're pretty close to one another. Okay, so spacing might be 15. That might be giving us some chances. Yeah, that's even better. But you see, we don't see the text on each geometry on the attribute. So this is kind of a problematic thing that we need to fix. Well, we need to just take this curve and copy this over here. And when we do that, what we see is our text is over here, because the reason for that is we are creating all these borders around it. And this is caused by we are not using the whole thing here. When we convert this into a whole, we'll be seeing this large pieces are going to be smaller around our slices, meaning we'll have a lot less pages or like material, and then we'll have things that are close to what we want them to be. But the main problem that we are seeing here is the text that we created here. Maybe I can print this one. You see they're going off. So the location is a bit problematic here. Therefore, what we can do here is we can say populate geometry, okay? And we can populate geometry on each maybe boundary surface. We can do a boundary surface first. Populate geometry, and then instead of populating 100 geometry, what we can do, it's taking a bit of a time here. You see, instead of having a 100 geometry per each surface, we can have 1 point only. This will make things a lot faster and easier. You see now, every point that I'm creating is inside of these pieces. Therefore, we were not going to see my text that are floating all over the place. So instead of connecting this, I will connect this to there, and then I can copy this and paste it. Or I can first add this to my pool and then add the text to the location. And what I'm seeing here now, I'll be seeing all the text that I put here is inside of these boundaries, hopefully. So I don't see any attributes here. Why I don't see any attributes? Because the location, so the locations are going to be like flattened, and hopefully now we are having the text on top of my or inside of my, yeah. Now you see everything is inside. Obviously you see that there are some bits and pieces overlapping. That's okay. I mean, they're still good to go. And what I'll be doing is I'll be just grouping this as my paper. I'll be grouping this, not paper, sheet material. Okay, I'll be grouping this as well. And I'll be grouping this as well so that I know what I'm doing here. And I can just type some names maybe here, like A sections, like B section tags to these guys, A section tags to these, and you can just play around with this, what sheet material you would put, etc, etc, and like maybe pull these up. And the last but not least, I'll be using the same exact logic. I can preview this maybe all off. I will be using the exact same logic for these guys. The B guys, I can copy this and put it over here. Copy this and paste it. In Grasshopper, I'll be pulling them down. What I'll be saying is, I'll be changing a couple of things, like adding these as my B pieces. Okay, like B sections. And I can maybe turn this off for a second. B sections. Names are going to be B. Sheet material. Set multiple curves. Cell dot maybe. Okay, and I can add those two here. Now if I preview this on, but of course I need to take this to here. These are going to be my B sections, right? So group them with another color, group them with another color, and I'll be adding tags, but B sections nesting, I would say. I'll make it really large. Adding to here, A sections nesting. And before I proceed further, why we are seeing this many amount of materials? Copies 5, because it's copying them 5 times. So I'll be having this as 1 and it will be copied here there. I can delete this. And one thing I would be doing is the red pieces are A pieces, A sections, 3D, B sections, 3D, and cut, engrave. So my sheets are going to be in default layer, so I can bake them in default. All geometry, meaning I'll be cutting these, right? Bake them to cut layer and bake these attributes to my engrave layer, right? And if I preview them all off, I do have them. And now I'll be opening this up and I'll be connecting sheets to my curve, but obviously I wanted to see if it's working well. I just wanted to check if my B pieces are working smoothly. Let me pause. Yeah, I think B pieces are here as well. So what I can do here, I can bake these to my cut layer. Oh, sorry, not the borders. Undo this. Right click, bake to my default. All geo to my cut and attributes to my engrave. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So this is how we create. Maybe I can switch back to this. This is how we create this waffle structure, and then this is how we also add the pieces. We cut all these things with these layers, etc. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to this channel, and you can access all these working files on my school channel. So I'll see you soon.